Hi everyone, welcome to School of Scarlet. I'm so happy to be here with you today. So today I'm going to be talking about embodiment, and I have a very exciting offer for you today, so stay with me to the very end so that you can get that offering for yourself. So embodiment, what is it and why am I talking about it? Well, embodiment is talking about the body. Many of us, and including myself, have spent a lot of time living upstairs in our mind. And so the majority of everything that we focus on is all in our mind, and we kind of forget the body. And that was very clear to me after I had a shift in my awakening process that pretty much put me back into my body, and it was a whole nother world because it was a world that I had been ignoring for the longest of time. I didn't have a connection to the world of being embodied. So I had been living in my mind like many of us do, just kind of scrambling and just getting through the day, kind of in that survival mode. And that survival mode doesn't really lend for a lot of taking care of the body or being in tune with the body, nor does it want to because it doesn't value that. So I'm going to bring you on back and pull you on back to childhood. So in our childhoods, oftentimes we had emotions, right? We're human beings and it's very natural for us to have emotions. So as children, some of us maybe cried more than others. Maybe we're a little bit more sensitive than others. Or maybe we were practically like everybody else, but when these events happened, our parents told us to stop crying, to go to our room, that we were being too sensitive, that, this and that, making it seem like there is something wrong with us for expressing an emotion that's just naturally occurring for us because we're human beings. And so we learned that these emotions were bothersome. We learned that our parents, our teachers, the people around us did not like it when we were crying. So some of us threw tantrums more often, trying to get more and more attention that way. But for most of us, including myself, we retreated. We learned to go to our rooms to cry. We learned to keep those emotions inside and not really talk about our feelings and really shut down when we were told that we're being too much, that we're too sensitive. So that was a recurring theme for me, being told that I was too sensitive. How about y'all? What was it for you? Comment down below. Many of us have been through this. It is extremely common. And it's just natural because at the same time, for the other being, hearing us cry is a discomfort. And if they're not embodied, they don't know how to meet us there to help us with that. So many times, a lot of the things that are very, very natural to us become kind of like this shameful thing that we have to hide. And it starts off with our emotions. Crying and expressing ourselves, even expressing anger, seems to not be acceptable in most families. So think back to your childhood. Was it okay to express anger? How did your family react when you expressed anger, when you expressed sadness, or when you expressed any strong emotion? I will bet to bet that most likely they left you alone. They didn't help you to deal with those emotions or process them. And so that left you feeling shameful and most likely retreating to kind of just hiding these emotions. And eventually it creates a shadow within our psyche where we kind of shove these emotions into the corners of our mind and try to keep on with our day and keep pushing and plowing through our day, ignoring everything that is happening within our being. So we're ignoring these emotions that are coming through and these thought streams and things that oftentimes need some acknowledgement at least, or they recur. So the thing about it is, if we don't deal with an emotion, they continue to recur. They continue to knock at the door and say, hey, I'm here. Until you acknowledge and open that door, they're not going to stop knocking. So it doesn't take much to acknowledge an emotion. We just have to go into it a little bit. So I want to really bring forth to you some new and exciting things. I'm kind of changing the course of one of the courses I'm doing. I've always done the unconditional course, which aligns you to your unconditional heart, which is everything that the divine intelligence within you that is driving your truest aligned nature. So now I'm moving to embodiment. Embodiment is basically after awakening. After awakening, you have this whole process of really becoming very sensitive. All your senses come back online. Everything that you had been ignoring, everything that you had been resisting is going to come back online. And that can be quite discomforting to the nervous system. So while you were growing up and you were being told, sit down, don't move, you're moving too much, you're hyper, what's wrong with you? How come you can't stay still? There's something wrong with you. You know, all of these things, and the teacher telling you to stay in this spot and, you know, confining you to these little squares and all of this junk. All of that is not natural, my friends, but we had to go through that for whatever reason. And so now when we come out of that, when we have this shift, we learn to come back into our bodies. We had been so disconnected by believing the world, by believing them that we had to not do those things. And we had to go through that. It wasn't that we could resist and get out of it. Many of us were forced to sit down and stay still. And, you know, we were punished and many things. So that was just natural at that time. But you see, it's not natural. And as a teacher, I can tell you, I learned after many years that it is better to let students move along their own ways. So my last year of teaching, I actually allowed students to move, and it was a whole different experience. And maybe one day I can share that on my parenting channel. But anyhow, movement is part of what is missing when we're disembodied. When we've been too much up in the mind, we're not connected to our body. We've shut our body down. We've numbed our body, just like we have numbed our emotions because they have been bothersome to others. You see, people that have been disembodied aren't in tune with their emotions, aren't in tune with their body. Once I had my shift, all of a sudden I began to feel all kinds of stuff. I could feel when I would eat a food and that food didn't agree with me. Instantly, I knew which food it was because I could feel it in that instant. Just different things. If I would go into a home where there was a smoker, instantly my body would react and know that there was a toxin. If I had a drink that had like an artificial sugar in it or something like that, all of a sudden I would have like a reaction to it immediately. And this would happen right after my shift. For about a year, I was extremely sensitive to all kinds of things. And I became aware of everything and its reaction to my body, something that I was not aware of when I was disembodied. When I was disembodied, I was eating junk food like crazy. I was 30 pounds heavier than I am now. And I've put a picture in my thumbnail for you guys to see. I've lost 30 plus pounds out of nowhere just by listening to my body. Because when I was disembodied, I would just shoveling food in my mouth, not knowing, not caring what it was doing to my body, not feeling it. I was in a depressed, anxious state, just on autopilot. And that is how 99% of the world is currently living. So I'm here to bring you a very exciting course. This is called the Embodiment course, and this is the unconditional embodiment. Now, the unconditional embodiment is going to tie in everything that the unconditional course has, plus the embodiment. So you're going to get an alignment to the heart to begin with, and then you're going to get all of the embodiment support, which is nervous system care and many different exercises, live sessions, energetic exchanges. This is a very potent class. So if you're meant to be there, you will email me at schoolofscarlet@gmail.com. Only a few people will be ready for this. And as I mentioned in my past videos, I'm working now to moving to working with the top one. I'm only working with people that have now had the shift and are ready to embody. So if that's you, email me. So when we're being embodied in our body, it requires us to connect with our body. It requires us to get in line with our body. So we learn things like dance. We learn things like ancient things that have been around for hundreds of years that have only recently been forgotten. So we reconnect to those things that keep us embodied in the body. And you see, if we don't stay embodied in our body, we are essentially going to just kind of disappear in a sense. Either we will deteriorate because we're not taking care of ourselves, and we will have an illness, something will happen, and that will be that. Or we will literally not take care of ourselves, and the body will just not even an illness. It would just be malnutrition or something like that. So we have to look at both sides. There's two sides to this coin, and all of that is covered in my embodiment course. So if you're feeling called to that, I would recommend you to go ahead and email me now so that you don't miss out on any live sessions that we are having. The energetics are extremely high right now. This year is the year of embodiment. So you have been going through a lot of changes in your life. You have gone through a lot of spiritual changes. You have gone through a lot of emotional changes. Your thought streams, everything is now changing. Your actual physical reality is changing. Your body vessel has changed, and now you are healthier. But at the same time, there is a bit of a disconnection. There is a bit of discomfort. And every so often you get these headaches, you get these stomach aches, you feel this discomfort, and it's disembodying. So we want to embody you, ground you into what is here and now, because you see, we are spiritual formless beings, but we're appearing in the form. And when we appear in the form, we play the game of being a human. And the human has a body, and this body functions a certain way. And it really is a wonderful thing when we can get this body on board with what we're doing. When we can get this body on board with what we're doing, when we can become embodied, our energy levels skyrocket. You're able to do things that you weren't able to do before. Your mental capacity is clear. You're not stuck in loops. You're not worried about random things and stuck up in the head. You're working with the body. You're working with 100% of your being. Whereas before you were working with, let's say, 15%, if not less, with just your mind. So your abilities are very, very limited if you are disembodied. If you're wanting to get embodied, you're wanting to now connect with your body, to work in line with your body, to work with the intelligence of the heart and the whole system, then you're going to want to email me. You're going to want to get in line with this. And if you're going to want to do this on your own, what I would recommend is to really get out in nature, to let nature show you its own ways. And that's what I had to do. I had to learn about this the hard way. I had an awakening on my own in the middle of freaking nowhere with no internet, no TV, no way of finding anything out that was happening with me. I went to doctors, and it's a good thing I didn't go too long because you could get into some trouble doing that. I went the normal routes of finding out what was going on wrong with me. And come to find out, nothing was going wrong with me. So everything was now coming in line. I was coming back into wholeness. So wholeness means that the whole system has health. Everything that is happening is wanting to bring you back into wholeness. Now I want you to really examine, be real truthful about yourself right now. How is the health of your system currently? How is your embodiment currently? What is the state of your physical health? Are you healthy? Do you have any chronic illnesses? What is your body weight based on the body mass index and stuff like that? Are you at the correct weight for your body? That is important. What kind of foods are you eating? Do you notice them, how they react with you when you eat them and what they do? Are you in tune with your emotions? Have you ever been to therapy? Have you ever talked to others about the thoughts, the emotions, the things that you've been through? I recently met with a woman that has been working in a line of work and just different things that for a while now that, was quite shocking to me that she was able to work in the line of work that she does. She had never been to therapy, and this woman had been through the worst abuse I had ever heard of, childhood abuse, physical, sexual, everything. She was out there helping people right and left. And as soon as I touched on the subject of her childhood, which she kept glossing over and not wanting to talk about, every time I would mention that, she would just cry, and it would become like a whole nother person. This really powerful, what appeared to be very confident woman, if you touched on the topic of her childhood at all, it was like she became broken. And you see, we need wholeness in the whole system. So when we were able to work on that, well, she gained wholeness in that, and she won't ever have that reaction again. So have you addressed the emotions, the painful aspects of your life? Have you gone in there until it doesn't hurt? How about pain? Have you examined your pain, your physical body? Do you have pain stuck anywhere in your body? Have you worked on that? Have you released it? Have you identified where it is coming from? And so all of this is things that I had to kind of find out on my own. I had to heal a back injury on my own. I had to work with all of my emotions on my own. I had to release so much on my own. And I had to go to people and helpers and healers that, I'm sorry to say, were very mediocre. They did not have the skills and things to help me at all, period, at all. So I turned to nature. So if you don't have anything, any resources around you, anybody to help you through maybe some of the nervous system stuff that you may be going through, get out in nature and allow nature and your intuitive heart to naturally begin to teach you. But if you have the resources, for example, the money, the ability, the time to take away to have a therapy session, to schedule a one-on-one session with me, to enroll in a course and actually take the time to be present for those things, then that is 100% what you could be doing right now to kind of accelerate your path of embodiment, because embodiment's a bit uncomfortable, honestly. And if you're going through this alone, it's not very fun. It could almost be scary, and a lot of times you're going to be going back and forth to doctors to seeing what's going on with the body. So this embodiment course will keep you grounded. It's going to teach you skills and things that will already keep you out of going for any further help, because you're going to be learning the skills that I have already learned and have used myself, learning these intuitively through these struggles and things that I had to go through on my own. So this course is all about embodiment, getting back into our bodies and really functioning 100% with all aspects. So, you know, prior to my shift, I was just in the mind, just living in the mind. Just working on autopilot, forgetting the body in order to do the functions of survival, of going to work, of being able to work like 10-hour shifts and sitting in traffic 2 hours both ways, coming home like at 7 or 8 at night to just have 30 minutes to put my daughter to sleep, that sort of thing. That's what I had to do. I had to shut off the body in order to live such a life, because it's not natural to live that life. It's soul drenching. It's basically going to drain your life force energy living that way. So in order to do that, we have to shut off the body. But we don't have to do that anymore, friends. That was a lie. That was a lie, and you don't have to live that way then. You didn't have to live that way then. You don't have to live that way now. So I'm bringing you back in. I'm pulling you on back. The kingdom is here and now. Every battle has already been won. All you have to do is align with your heart. And yes, it is scary at first. But as soon as you do that, everything else begins to shift and move in those perfect ways to allow you what you have been wishing and dreaming of this whole time. Okay? You have it all, my friend. You have it all. You have always had it all. It's just like the Wizard of Oz. You've always had it all, dear friend. Okay? You can go home now. You've always had it home. You've always had it here with you. You can go home now. So we can work on this, and we can go home now, and we can just begin to accept all aspects of ourselves, accept our body, love our body, bring it on back. So again, when we were living in our mind, when we were on autopilot, it was all about the mind. We were up here. But then at some point, maybe some of you like me had a shift, and then all of a sudden it wasn't about the mind. There was no mind at all. But what happened? There was also no body. It's like everything disappeared. Everything disappeared. That was my experience. And so it kind of left you feeling like, why the body? Why work with the body? Why work with therapy? Why work with anything? But you see, awakening is not like a bam, like that's it. Yes, it's a shift. It shifts, it opens you, but it's more of a spiral effect. You're moving in a spiral. All right? So you're going to feel like a sense of bliss. And then some time will pass, and then you're going to feel the body, because you are human. You're living an experience of a human being. So you're going to feel the body, and then suddenly you're not going to feel bliss. You're going to feel the body. And you're not going to recognize the body. You're going to say, what is this body? I'm not this body. because you've been living now in the formless. You've been so into the bliss. So whether you've been living on autopilot or you've been living in bliss, it's time to bring it on home and pull it on back into the body vessel that you're living in here on this earth, so that you can play this game and that you can be 100% working with everything online. So if you're interested in doing that, friends, and you're wanting to partner with me and connect with me and join in on live sessions and really join in on live sessions and be part of this and become embodied in your own body so that you can get out there and really play this game of life, then all I recommend you to do is just simply email me at schoolofscarlet@gmail.com. That's how simple it is. I hope that you won't let your mind trick you out of listening to your heart and that you will email me. I love you all.